Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm just gonna say it. I think the Warzone meta here in Season 6 is actually in one of the best states it's been all year long. At least in my opinion, we can now use more weapons and actually be able to compete with them than really at any other point in this year. And with that, today, instead of just looking at the best of the best weapons that we've got right now, I wanted to sort of change things up and break down the best underrated weapons that are still really good, but they just don't get as much attention as some of the main meta setups. So as we go through all the loadouts today, if you enjoy the video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, I am always covering the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, setups, basically everything going on in COD. You're gonna find it right here on the channel. So feel free to subscribe as we are on the road to 600,000 subs before Cold War launches. Now, to start things off for today, I did want to break down one special setup that's probably not super underrated in the grand scheme of things, but it is specifically really useful in the nighttime modes. So whether you're playing Trick or Trios or Zombies Royale or really any other mode that takes place on the haunted Verdansk map, this setup is going to be especially useful. It features the Kilo 141 as the primary, which obviously is really not that underrated. It's probably the best weapon in the entire game if I'm being honest, but the setup here is a bit different than normal. And then we do also have the MP7 on this class too, which personally is my favorite SMG in the entire game. I would say most people probably lean towards the MP5 first, but the MP7 just feels so good here in Season 6, and it works really well in the nighttime modes, especially in Zombies Royale. So when it comes to the Kilo here, for Haunted Verdansk, I'm running the Monolithic Suppressor, pretty basic stuff there, right? Alongside the Prowler Barrel for better range and control, the Commando foregrip for some recoil help, the 60-round mags because that's going to make cleaning up kills, wiping squads, and also beaming a horde of zombies way easier. Then finally, I've got the Solo Zero NVG Enhanced Optic, which is a scope that you really never see me use on the channel, but because it's dark out, obviously, visibility is going to be a bit limited, and when people are not using cold-blooded, it is super easy to spot them and stay on target when you have the thermal optic. So the NVG offers some pretty nice benefits there. Then on the MP7, this is honestly my pretty standard setup here. I've got the Monolithic Suppressor, the Recon Barrel, the Tac Laser, the 60-round mags, and then also the Stipple Grip Tape, the iconic Stippy Grippy, and this is just my zombie slaying machine, plus it is also super good up close since obviously it is an SMG. Now, my perks here are also a bit different, especially for Zombies Royale. Normally, I'd be running EOD, Overkill, and Amped, then I'd swap to EOD, Ghost, and Amped after we get that second loadout. And that's the setup I use on all of my other classes today. However, for Zombies Royale, Quick Fix, Overkill, and Amped is a major W. Quick Fix heals you whenever you end up getting a kill, so this really helps against zombies. That's sort of a hidden gem here for sure. Then I do still run C4 and the heartbeat sensor normally, but the thermite is also definitely viable, as are the stuns, so be sure to take those into consideration as well. Now, the remainder of the classes today are, I guess, a bit more normal. They're not meant specifically for night mode only or anything like that. And with that, getting into class number 2, this one is all about the M13 and the P90, two of the most underrated weapons in the entire game. Obviously, the M13 is an absolute laser beam. This has been known for a while now, but for whatever reason, I still see a ton of people leaning towards the Kilo, the M4, the Grau, so on and so forth. Even though the M13 is incredibly easy to use and it's also incredibly effective too. I would say this is probably the best quote-unquote no recoil weapon you could use here in Warzone. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos with those titles all the time, and out of all of them, in my opinion, the M13 takes the cake. Then for the P90, this is just a really decent SMG. It's got great mobility, the really nice bonus of having a larger magazine by default, then it's got great range and great control too, so overall it is just super consistent. Now on the M13, I'm running the Monolithic Suppressor, the Marksman Barrel for better range and control, the Tac Laser just to make my setup a bit faster. However, if you want even more control, you could always swap that out for, say, an underbarrel like the Commando foregrip. But then I've also got these 60-round mags, and then finally the hollow sight with the blue dot, just because that is as clean as it can be when it comes to the optics. Then on the P90, I'm running the Monolithic Suppressor once more, the Retribution Barrel for better control and range, the Tac Laser for better speed and stability, the Stipple Grip Tape once again, and also the Fly Strap Stock for better mobility too. Now, moving on into class number 3, to be honest, at this point, the secondaries aren't really a huge focus anymore, so we're just going to be looking at the primaries for this setup and then the next two as well. Really, you could run the MP7, the P90, or even something more basic like the MP5 with any of these weapons, and they're going to do just fine. But here in setup number 3, this one is all about the AUG SMG, except we're using it as more of an assault rifle here with the ammo conversion, and the TTK on this thing is really, really nice. It's not the fastest setup in the world. It's also not the slowest. It's more of a schmedium setup here, but man, this is definitely an underrated weapon if I've ever seen one. So as far as the attachments go here, I've got, surprise, surprise, the monolithic suppressor, the 407mm extended barrel for better range and control. Honestly, I think the biggest barrel here is way too heavy to use, so I roll with this one instead. Then I've got the tac laser once more, the 5.56 NATO 60 round drums, which convert it into an assault rifle, and that really increases the damage here. Then finally, I've got the Stippy Grippy once more. Now, next up, class number 4 is all about the Holger-26, which has received buff after buff after buff throughout the year, and finally now it's actually usable and pretty effective at that. For an LMG, it is incredibly lightweight, so you can use this more aggressively. Plus, you also get that larger magazine by default, and surprisingly, it has a pretty fast reload, making that another really nice bonus to have. Then the damage and the control here are both pretty solid as well. So as far as the attachment setup goes here, I've got the monolithic suppressor, the commando foregrip, the tac laser, the hollow sight with the blue dot once more, and then finally the stipple grip tape to wrap things up for that one, pun absolutely intended. And you'll notice I've got no barrel here. In all reality, none of the barrels on the Holger are really all that optimal, so not having one is, I think, the best way to play it here. Then, finally, class number 5 today is all about the AK-47. And trust me, I see you guys in the comments all the time asking about the AK-47. To be fair, it's not a super friendly weapon. Its control really is not all that great. Its damage, though, is extra spicy. This thing can seriously shred people, but it's also a bit slower, so it kind of needs to fall in line with your playstyle to really be viable. But as far as the setup goes here, I've got the monolithic suppressor for one final time today, the Romanian barrel, which offers great control and better range, the 40 round mags because the drums just make this way too heavy in my mind, the VOK 3x optic for better control and visibility, and finally the skeleton stock for better mobility as well. So yeah, there you have it. Those are effectively the most underrated weapons and setups to use here in Season 6 of Warzone, and that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, or if you just found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here, if you want to stay up to date with the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, setups, you name it, you're going to find it all right here. So feel free to subscribe, as we are trying to hit 600k before Black Ops Cold War releases. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code WhosImmortal for a spicy discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, and Control Freak products. All of those links can be found down in the description below, and once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.